Usually, the last step in your video production process is to export your project. You need to convert your project into some kind of file type that people can then view. They can't see your project unless they own Premiere Pro and have all your assets. So you need to convert it into some kind of file type that they can view, be it in a browser or on a device or broadcast media, things like that. So that's usually the last step. Now, sometimes there are intermediary steps for exporting as well. So what I want to do now is just run through the various types of exporting. The most commonly used exporting process is to export it for a device or for websites for broadcast. That's just the typical way to do things. It's the typical workflow. You're all done, and you're going to create a video file that people can watch. You also might send it to Encore. You might send it to Encore to create a DVD, a Blu-ray disc, or what's called a web DVD. That's a flash project that you can play inside a browser. Those probably are the two top things that you're going to use in terms of exporting. Moving down further, you might want to export your project for further editing. In this case, I'm talking about turning your assets into really high quality, basically uncompressed media, so that you can use them again later and know that they're going to be in pristine quality. This is a little bit different than exporting to use with another bit of software, which I'm going to explain in a second. You're basically ensuring the quality of your assets so you can use them for further editing down the road. You might want to export to tape. Basically, you hook up a tape drive to your system and essentially play your project, play your sequence onto that tape. Finally, there's this kind of group of things where you're exporting for other editing software. The most common workflow is to export for Final Cut Pro. And you do that using what's called an XML file, Extensible Markup Language file. It's basically a text file. A fair number of people are switching from Final Cut Pro to Premiere Pro, and there's this kind of cusp now where people are kind of switching back and forth and have a workflow that involves both of these products. So you can export a Premiere Pro project as an XML file that then can be opened up in Final Cut Pro. There are limitations in terms of transitions and effects, but if you do a cuts-only edit, then you're pretty safe in terms of getting it across to Final Cut Pro and having it open up cleanly inside Final Cut Pro. There are also a couple of other things. An edit decision list is similar to an XML file. You can open up that in a variety of nonlinear editors. AAF, Advanced Authoring Format, similar to an EDL. And finally, you can export your project to an OMF file, which is an audio file that works inside DigiDesign's Pro Tools audio editing product. So these are all the various approaches to exporting. I'm going to explain exporting formats in the next lesson.